Hi everyone, it's Cajun DIY Diva, and today we're going to make another child's dress out of a men's dress shirt. So you can see my pile of dress shirts over there. But I am going to use this one today, and so I have this little dress. Here's my shirt, and I have this little dress and it has a zipper down the back. So I'm going to use it as a guide, but I'm going to put the buttons on the back of the dress so that it'll take the place of the zipper. So what I'm going to do first is turn the shirt inside out. Just so that I won't get any, I'm going to make pencil marks when I want to cut into it, and also going to cut. It'll make it easier if I just go ahead and cut the collar off and cut the sleeves off. So I'm just going to do that first. Get them out of the way because I'm not using them in this shirt, in this little project. So that's the collar, and now I'm going to cut the sleeves off. And you can save these sleeves maybe to do something else with it, or you can make a pocket to put on the dress, or make a ruffle or something with that, because you've got a lot of fabric here in the sleeves. Okay, so now you've got this tag on here, and I'm going to use my seam ripper and pick this off, so that that's not going to be part of the dress. So, but what I'm going to do first is make sure that the bottoms are lined up perfectly. And that the side seams, I'm also going to trim off this tag. Don't need that anymore. Need it. And that has an extra button attached. If you decided you needed a button for anything, you can just save those. Also, sometimes shirts like this will have extra buttons sewn into that bottom flap, so you can look for those and use your seam ripper to get those off, because they kind of get in the way. All right, so I'm just going to lay this out as flat as I can, and I'm going to lay the dress out, the front side down and the button side up of the shirt, button side of the shirt up, and I'm going to use that center back. I'm lining it up with the shirt. Okay, so, and it looks like I'm going to go check that the center back seam kind of goes all the way down along the button line, so that it doesn't come out lopsided. So now I'm going to make a pattern, and I'm going to cut this out about an inch bigger. So that allows for the seam allowance. That's the part that that when you put it together and you sew it, you have that that part that doesn't show, because if you don't allow for that, the dress will come out smaller, and you don't want that. The other thing I need to check is how far down is the button. And the button is, it's got about an inch, so it's got enough room for me to fold it over and do the hem. So that's good. And, you know, I don't do things perfectly. This is kind of just a fun little project. It's by no means, I am not a professional seamstress. I know enough about sewing to get by. Okay, so I'm going to take that away. And I'm going to go ahead and just cut through both sides. I'm making this really simple today. By the way, this dress is a size 7/8. So that's about the size that it's going to come out to be. And I'm not sure what's going to happen on the front. I may end up having to do the opposite of what I said it was going to be, because there is that little yoke in the back of the shirt, and we'll have to see how that's going to look once it's cut out. That may have to be the back part after all. But I started with the back, and this is important, because you know, you'd think that you could just sew these together at the shoulders and the sides and you'd have the dress. But the neck needs to always be a little bit lower than the back. So let's look at the back. Well, that didn't come out exactly even. So I didn't do a very good job with that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to fold this over at the, I'm going to do it one side at a time. I'm going to fold it over. Let's do the back side first, since that's the part that's messed up. I'm going to take the center back, but you can tell that by lining up the bottom and finding the part of the shirt that is the biggest part of the curve, and that's how you find the center back. And so what I'm going to do is just follow this along and just trim it and make it exact on both sides. So now, yeah, they look, well, it looks better, but it doesn't look perfect. But it might be good enough now that once I sew it, it won't show. See, I told you, I do fly by the seat of my pants when I'm doing these little projects. So hopefully it doesn't come out terrible. But maybe you'll do a better job than I do, and yours will come out better. So I'm putting them together. I'm putting all the sides together, because I know those came out right. The sides came out right. I'm putting them back together the way I cut them out. Just smooth it out. And let me turn this over. And I still don't like how that is, so I'm going to try to fix it. I'm trimming off some of the, let's see, of the shoulder seam so that it looks even, and since I'm doing that, I'm going to have to adjust the armhole at the same time. And make it a little bit longer since I took away some of that length. From the shoulder seam. And like I said, I'm kind of eyeballing this. Hopefully it comes out right. Okay, so now we have the front and the back. I need to pin it at the shoulder seams. And then now I'm going to trim it out a little bit lower. And I'm feeling the button is right there. But this time I'm going to use seam tape to hem it. Make it look a little bit better. So now you've got a lower, neck in the front than you do in the back. So what I'm going to do is sew these together on the sides and on the shoulder. Okay, so I sewed up the shoulder seams and the side seams, and what I'm doing now is I'm unwrapping. Look at this package of seam binding. It's so old. It says 25 cents. It doesn't cost 25 cents anymore, but I think it's still usable, so I'm going to try to use it. So what you do with the seam binding is, let me find the end, use that to finish off the edges. So what you'll do is sew it, unbutton the top, you sew it really close around the edge, and probably don't use that wrinkled part, although you're going to iron it so it won't matter. But sew it very close to the edge. Then once it's sewed, you're going to turn it over and then sew it on the other side, and it's going to make it, you're going to turn it over and iron it and sew it down on the other side, and that's going to finish off your edge. So you don't have to do that rolled hem. It'll be a lot easier to do that. So, and when, I didn't notice this, but when you're looking for a shirt, some of these shirts have this, it's weird, I don't know why they do that, men's shirt makers, but you know, men's shirts, they'll tuck this in. Try to find a shirt that doesn't have a buttonhole in a different color, because it's like the last buttonhole in the shirt is like this dark color. So try to find a shirt that doesn't have that, because that'll mess up the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is sew the seam binding around the shoulder seams and the armholes, and I'll be back. Okay, so I sewed on my seam tape, and what I did was, see, I sewed it on the outside. You sew it on the good side of the fabric, like this. Then I'm going to fold it over, and then I'm going to top stitch it so that it covers the seam, and it'll finish off the edges really nicely. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I have sewn the seam tape around, and I use this bright yellow on purpose just so you'd be able to see it. So it finishes off the inside edges and the arm holes. So like instead of doing a rolled hem, you can do this, and it sort of looks more professional. Not that mine looks professional, I don't think mine does, but it sort of looks, you know, like a nice finished piece. Now it's kind of plain, so what you could do is you could take one of the sleeves and make maybe some pockets. Or if the shirt has a pocket right here, you could take it off and put it down here or down here. It looks kind of cute to have pockets further down. You could also embellish it with something like rickrack. So you could take this rickrack and maybe put it around the neckline like this. Can you see that? Let's see. I'm going to just pick this up so you can see it more closely. Sorry about that. Yeah, so you can put rickrack, just sew it on top, stitch it. You can do it around the neck, around the armholes, and if you put pockets, you could put it on the pockets. So anyway, a cute little summer, fun little dress.